The spoon hovers in the air. Your baby turns away. Again. This moment feels exhausting and deeply heartbreaking. You prepared this meal carefully. You warmed it just right. Yet your baby's lips stay completely and firmly shut. You try another angle, another distraction. Nothing works. The bowl sits full and untouched, growing steadily cold. You wonder if something is wrong. Is your baby sick, not hungry, stubborn, something deeper you cannot see? The worry creeps in quietly. Every refused bite feels like a small failure you never asked to carry. You search desperately online at midnight. Thousands of exhausted parents are searching that exact same thing tonight too. You watch other babies eat happily in videos. You quietly wonder why your baby seems so very different. Maybe you've tried singing, airplane spoon sounds, dancing, anything at all to get just one small bite in. The mess on the floor, food on the wall, the tears, both yours and your baby's, falling. And beneath all the exhaustion, there is love. Fierce, unwavering love that simply wants your baby to thrive. But here's something nobody told you yet. Your baby is not being difficult on purpose. Not at all. There is a hidden reason behind every refused spoon, and it lives deep inside your baby's developing brain. What looks like stubbornness is actually science. What feels like failure is your baby communicating something deeply important. You are not doing it wrong. Your baby is not broken. The truth is far more fascinating than that. This is the story of why babies refuse to eat. Understanding it will change everything for you both. To understand mealtime resistance, researchers must first look inside the infant brain, a universe still beautifully forming. At birth, a baby's brain holds 100 billion neurons, but connections between them remain largely unformed and waiting. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child describes the infant brain as under rapid, extraordinary construction in early years. Every new experience, including tasting food, requires the brain to build entirely new neural connections and pathways. This construction process is not instant. It requires repetition, safety, and a calm nervous system to work properly. Deep within the brain lies the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure responsible for detecting threats and danger. In infants, the amygdala is highly reactive. It hasn't yet learned to separate real threats from unfamiliar sensations. When a baby encounters a new food, a strange texture, color, or smell, the amygdala fires immediately. This is called an amygdala hijack. The brain shouts danger before rational processing even has any chance. The result is instant refusal. Turned head, clamped mouth, crying. Not stubbornness, but pure neurological self-protection. Researchers at Stanford have studied this exact threat response in infants as young as 4 months old. The findings are clear. Novelty itself is the trigger. The brain has not yet filed this sensation as safe. Now consider cortisol, the stress hormone, and its powerful role in shaping early feeding behavior entirely. When mealtimes become tense, a baby's cortisol levels spike rapidly. The body enters a low-level alarm state. Cambridge University research shows elevated cortisol during feeding creates negative memory traces in the infant's developing hippocampus. A stressful mealtime today literally encodes a negative memory of eating into your baby's brain structure permanently. Over time, repeated cortisol spikes teach the brain mealtime equals threat. Refusal becomes the brain's logical response. But the story becomes even more remarkable when we examine what happens between parent and baby during meals. Neuroscientists discovered neural synchrony. The brainwaves of a caregiver and infant align remarkably closely together. During calm interactions, the parent's regulated nervous system co-regulates the baby's immature developing nervous system too. Harvard researchers found neural synchrony is strongest during face-to-face feeding interactions between a caregiver and infant. When a parent is anxious during mealtime, that anxiety transmits directly into the baby's nervous system through synchrony. The baby does not understand the source. It only feels the dysregulation and responds by shutting completely down. This is where mirror neurons play a crucial, often overlooked role in infant feeding behavior and resistance. Mirror neurons fire both when an action is performed and when that same action is simply observed nearby. Giacomo Rizzolatti first identified mirror neurons in the 1990s, revolutionizing our entire understanding of human social learning. In infants, mirror neurons are exquisitely active. Babies learn to eat largely by watching and mirroring caregivers eat. When a parent shows visible stress during mealtime, the baby's mirror neurons register and internalize that tension deeply. The baby mirrors parental anxiety, which amplifies the amygdala threat signal, deepening the entire cycle of refusal. This is not blame, it is biology. Understanding this cycle is the very first step toward breaking it gently. Consider one of psychology's most powerful experiments, the still face paradigm created by Dr. Edward Tronick of Harvard. A mother interacts warmly with her infant, then suddenly goes still, expressionless, unresponsive, and completely emotionally flat. Within seconds, the infant tries to re-engage, smiling, gesturing, reaching, then becomes increasingly and visibly distressed. This paradigm reveals how deeply attuned babies are to their caregiver's emotional presence, especially during feeding interactions. A distracted or emotionally withdrawn parent at mealtime can trigger the same distress response as the still face. The baby interprets emotional absence as danger, triggering the same amygdala response as an unfamiliar, threatening food. Dr. Tronick's Harvard-published work confirms emotional connection during feeding is nutritionally essential, not merely a comfort bonus. Think of the infant brain as a garden in its earliest, most fragile and promising season of growth. Neurons are seeds, synapses, neural connections, are roots stretching toward sunlight and reliable, repeating nourishment. Every positive mealtime experience waters this garden. It strengthens roots and helps new food flavors take hold deeply. But when stress floods the garden like a cold storm, those fragile new roots cannot take hold at all. The gardener, the parent, holds immense power. Not through force, but through patience, warmth, and consistent presence. Scientists call the removal of unused neural connections synaptic pruning, likened to landscape architecture within the brain. Connections used repeatedly become stronger, faster pathways. Connections never used are pruned entirely and completely away. This is why repetition matters so profoundly. Each calm, positive food exposure plants a new seed in the garden. Research consistently shows it takes 10 to 15 exposures to a new food before an infant accepts it reliably. This is not failure. This is the brain doing exactly what it was perfectly designed to do, carefully. Each exposure, even a refused one, builds familiarity. The amygdala registers. This appeared before. It did not harm me. Over time, the threat signal dims. The food shifts from danger to familiar to safe in the brain. These repeated pathways become neural superhighways. Thick, fast, and reliable routes the brain travels effortlessly again and again. Once a neural superhighway forms for a food, once it is accepted as safe, refusal naturally and quietly dissolves. Dietitian Ellen Satter developed the division of responsibility model, now supported widely by Stanford feeding clinics worldwide. The principle is elegant. The parent decides what food is offered, when it is offered, and where it is eaten. The baby decides whether to eat and how much. This removes the power struggle from mealtimes entirely and peacefully. When control is returned to the baby, cortisol levels stabilize. Mealtime shifts from battlefield to a safe, calm space. University of Pennsylvania research shows babies in responsive feeding environments accept new foods 30% faster overall. Consider the extraordinary flavor window, the period between 4 and 7 months when flavor acceptance is most impressionable. The Monell Chemical Senses Center shows breast milk carries flavors of the mother's diet directly to the infant. Babies exposed to diverse flavors through amniotic fluid and breast milk show significantly greater food acceptance during solid feeding. The window is open now. Every calm, warm mealtime experience is literally shaping your baby's food future today. So now you know, the science has spoken. It speaks not of failure, but of fascinating and intricate design. Your baby's refusal is not a verdict on your parenting. It is a message from a brain still learning safety. And you, the one who shows up every mealtime, you are the most powerful force in this entire process. There's a simple practice that can shift everything. It is called the 5-second pause. Try it today. When your baby refuses a spoon, pause 5 seconds. Breathe, relax your shoulders, soften your face. Simply wait. In those 5 seconds, your nervous system calms, and through neural synchrony, your baby's system begins calming too. That pause is not passive. It is the most active and powerful thing you can offer your baby right now. The next principle is repair over perfection. Not every mealtime will go beautifully. That is entirely normal and okay. When a meal ends in tears, what matters most is not the refused bowl. It is what happens next. A warm hug after a hard meal tells your baby, "You are safe. This place is safe. I am here." Neuroscience confirms that repair, reconnection after rupture, is one of the most powerful builders of secure attachment. You do not need a perfect mealtime. You need 1,000 small, warm moments of trying again with love. Your baby is not fighting you. Your baby is trusting you enough to show you exactly what they need. Every refused spoon is an invitation, a chance to listen more deeply, respond more gently, and connect more fully. The science of tiny minds reveals one extraordinary truth. Love offered calmly and consistently is the most powerful nutrient of all.